So this morning we're going to begin with that prayer that we often begin with, because it says it all. I am here only to be truly helpful. If I can keep that focus, that there's only one reason I'm here in my interactions with you or with anyone else, and that is to be helpful in the truest sense possible. Not to be kind of helpful or sort of helpful or often helpful, but totally, completely helpful. To keep that focus allows something to break through in me that hides, that sleeps, but suddenly it wakes up. Oh, that's why I'm here, to be truly helpful. Okay, then I am about that. And for each one of us, if we can just keep that in the forefront of our mind, that I am here only to be truly helpful, then we find ourselves helping in ways that are not even logical or don't make sense. I've been preparing for this course that I'm going to be doing for the Shift Network on the radical teachings of St. Francis. And one of the things that I love about Francis and people like him is that there's not much of what they do that really makes sense. They're fools, but they're fools for God. It is a divine sort of foolishness that is meant to show us that we can go a different way than the whole stream of the world is going. As if the world is everyone, everything in it is swimming upstream, and we're expected to do the same thing and encounter all the strife and all the difficulties that we encounter. But the holy fool says, nope, I'm going downstream. I'm going to float. And so it's been fun to do that. And I think that really it just keeps coming back to that the foolishness of God, or the wisdom of God rather, seems like foolishness to the world, and the opposite. So we're just going to be fools today. Embrace that foolishness, that different rhythm that allows us to swim downstream to the infinite ocean of grace where we've always been. And it begins right here by realizing why we're here. So let's sing this together. I am here only to be truly helpful. And I am here to represent the one who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do. For the one who sent me directs me back to you, back to you. For I am here only to be truly helpful, and I am here to represent the one who sent me. I am content to be where love wishes, knowing God goes there with me. I will be healed as I let God teach me how to heal, how to heal. For I am here only I am here. Yes, I am here. I am here. So we're going to start off this morning with a couple, maybe two or three very powerful quotes that I just came across this morning, actually, from a couple of people you might know. For example, Meister Eckhart. A lot of you know the German mystic from the 13th and 14th century. So many of these mystics who were in the whole machine, I guess you could say, but teaching the truth. It wasn't necessarily heard at that time fully. In fact, it was often labeled as blasphemy, resisted. But now we're able to see, now we're able to comprehend what was being shared. So when Meister Eckhart says something like, "Let us pray to God that we may be free of God," that's not something that the 13th century mind was really willing to accept. What do you mean to be free of God? Well, it means to be free of all of your ideas of God, because no idea, no thought, no concept can ever come close to describing or shedding light upon all that is, that which is so far beyond my comprehension, that I'm so much better off just falling back into the mystery, falling back into the unknown. So free me of God. Free me of every idea I've ever had of God so I can see everything. I love that quote. And then also I heard this one this morning from St. Augustine of Hippo, who's the 4th century theologian. He said, "If we comprehend it, it is not God." Isn't that great? If you think you understand it, just stop, because that means you understand nothing. It's not about comprehending or understanding. It's about the experience. And when you're in that experience, I was actually listening to Richard Rohr talk about mystics last night. And when one is in the experience of that, there are several things, I don't remember everything that he said, but several things that are always there. They're always prevalent. Number one, the inability to really explain it. But there's a certainty about it. You know it. You don't really have to explain it because you know. It's not faith. Faith is of the mind. The experience is much deeper. That's why we talk about that 13-inch journey. We're here but for the experience, to know something. And yet we can't even know how we know or even what we know. And that's the great mystery, which kind of brings me to the, oh, it's gone. So, wait, no, it might be right here. Hold on. Because I did write, something came to my mind, which was, anyone who comes close to knowing anything realizes that they don't know anything. The closer you come to this reality, the more humble you become. And that's the other thing that Richard Rohr said. You know it to be true. You can't really speak to it, because the moment you try to speak to it, you lose it. Because now you're trying to identify and specify that which is everywhere. But there is a humility that comes with that, where you're not trying to convince anyone of anything. I don't need to convince you that any of this is true. I know it's true. And you might catch a spark off that knowing. You might feel the heat of that knowing. And in doing so, there may be something that is enlivened within you. Just as if there is a pile of dry wood near a fire that is sparking and those sparks fall onto that fire, guess what? It's going to catch. And that's really all we're here to do, not to convince each other, not to try and, say, Ravi, you need to understand this. No, Ravi doesn't need to understand anything. Just because if I say that, then I don't understand anything. I'm just here to just be on fire and to let the heat of that fire do all the work. So that being said, let's share the rest of this lesson for the day. It really picks up right where those other two quotes. In fact, I'll read these two quotes one more time. Let us pray to God that we may be free of God. That was Meister Eckhart. And Augustine says, if we comprehend it, it is not God. So, stop insisting you're right about anything. It would be better to say that you don't know anything than to erroneously believe that your intellectual mind has the capacity to understand what is true. You'd be better off believing that you don't know anything. Your mind was made to not understand what is real, just as your physical eyes were made to not see what is so clear to me. You are so clear to me. Though in your mind, you're nothing but a shadow cast upon a wall. And how can you love such a thing? A shadow has no real substance, just as the image you made of yourself has no real substance. I could never lose sight of what casts the shadow, which is the light we share. The identity you claim is what blocks the light. That's a big one. The identity that you claim, that you think you are, that's what blocks the light. But because you're unable to accept this, you focus on the shadow and say, I am that. I'm trying to get you to turn around toward the light and say, I am that. Do you see the difference? Have you ever put on a pair of glasses and realized that everything you saw a moment before was out of focus? I remember that happened the first time I ever put on a pair of glasses. It was because of just a friend had a pair. I said, let me just see what I look like with those on. And I was like, oh man. Suddenly everything was clear. But I didn't realize it was unclear until I put on the glasses. I thought I was seeing fine. So once again, have you ever put on a pair of glasses and realized that everything you saw before that moment was out of focus? Until then, you thought that the indistinct flow of blurry images you saw was clear and distinct. But the moment your vision was corrected, you dismissed that idea. You realized that until you put on the glasses, you weren't seeing anything as it really was. Now you're able to clearly see what has always been clear to me. I have given you new eyes and new ears to perceive a new world where only light prevails. The shadows you claimed till now have disappeared because the light has come at last. So everything we're hearing really just keeps coming back to the same few simple thoughts. Until now, that which you have claimed has just blocked you from realizing who you are and who everyone is. And if you want to understand that, you have to begin by surrendering what you thought you knew, just falling back and giving up and letting grace take hold. Because grace is that corrective lens. Grace, that's the glasses that we can put on that clears up our sight so we can see. But it's not something that we can take because it's something that's always been ours. We just have to relax and rest in God. And then the glasses just show up. Clear vision just shows up. Once again, how simple. But beginning with realizing that until now I've known nothing. That's what Eckhart and Augustine and all the great mystics, that's all they really say. You cannot know with your intellectual mind what has always been known by who you are. You just need to surrender. Let go of the need to understand intellectually and allow the experience, allow the heat, allow the fire to take hold. And besides, it's fun. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like everything changes when you do. That's the holy fool, by the way. That holy foolishness we were talking about before. It's a lightness that comes to us when we just stop trying to make the unreal real. Now we know we can do whatever we want. But if we are flowing naturally with that divine current, while the rest of the world is going upstream, saying, where are you going? I may have mentioned this before, but I was doing this recording for the Shift Network yesterday, and it came into my mind, so I'll share it once again. I have a very dear friend in Toronto named Roger Dufault. I actually wrote a book about him. There's a book over there called Love, God, and the Art of French Cooking. It's really all about Roger, who is an amazing Frenchman, French cook, who channels all of his spirituality through cooking. And it's quite extraordinary. And in Roger and his wife, Kathleen, have a beautiful B&B outside Toronto. And when you go into the men's room, there's a big poster. Did I tell this before? No? Okay. So it's just one big cartoon. And you see what looks like hundreds and hundreds of white sheep. And they're all like tight together, no social distancing at all. And they're all marching toward this cliff, and you see them all like going over the cliff. Okay. And then you see one black sheep in the middle of it all going the other way, going, excusez-moi, excusez-moi, excusez-moi. How many of you feel like the black sheep? I think most of us are probably the black sheep of our family. And of course, our families think that because we're going the opposite way. I think it was the day before yesterday. I finally was telling my father what I intend to do starting next Friday. Now, you have to realize that I've told my father and my mother a lot of weird things over the year. I remember once calling them up on a phone from jail, all excited because I was in jail. Like, Mom, you're never going to I'm in jail. Of course, I was in jail because I was arrested for a civil rights protest for the handicapped. And I was excited. And they were like, who is this kid? Because my parents are so normal and so traditional. Add that to, I remember the first time I went to Iraq. I was invited by Saddam Hussein to come to Iraq. And I was smart enough to not tell my parents on my own. I asked Linda to call I was actually on the plane heading there, because I knew my mom was going to find some way to stop that plane otherwise. And Linda got very lucky because my mom was taking a nap or something. She told my father instead. So all the war zones last year, I mean, even moving to Mexico, how many of you who live here that were told by your relatives or friends, what? Yeah. You're moving to Mexico? Like, yeah, you have no idea. Or me last year going on tour, traveling across the US penniless. My dad thought that was the craziest thing you could ever do. So I kind of thought, well, telling him, Dad, I'm going to be staying in one small place for a whole year and just pray. I thought, this is the least of the crazy things that I've ever told him before. I thought maybe he's going to get this. I may as well told him I'm being invited back to Iraq by Saddam Hussein. He thought it was so crazy. Why would you do something like that? I don't know. I don't know. It's like there is no answer to that question. I don't know, because it's unknowable. We feel that fire within us and we just go. It's not like there's a logical reason for it, because there is no reason. Anyway, I've been talking too much, but I think you get the idea. So I'm going to turn off this spotlight and I'm going to see Vicky. Are you with us? There's Vicky. Oh, hold on. Let me put us on Bluetooth. Good to see you, darling.
Nice to see you, honey.
Any of that make sense?
All of it. Follow the yellow brick road. When you get the prompt, whatever comes to your heart, trust it. Follow it. Everyone always makes excuses not to be childlike and simple. But except we be like little children, literally we can't enter the kingdom, because we can't enter it with figuring and thinking and planning and negotiating. And it really is. It's the star. It's the sparkle. It's the light. We get a prompt. Just trust it. And if we get redirected, so what? Get redirected. You could go in tomorrow or next Friday and come out Monday. Who cares? Who knows? You're going to follow the prompt, right? Because there's no getting. When we follow a prompt, like if we're going to live this experientially, when we live it, we just are accountable to the prompt, to the light. Follow the yellow brick road within. And then however it shows up, there's always a natural give. As soon as we flip into a get, oh, I want to get approval, I want them to like what I'm doing, I want to get recognition, I want to get someone to thank me for this. As soon as we slip into that, we've lost the yellow brick road. It's not wrong, it's just we've slipped off. So it's easy to go back and say, okay, just follow the light and give. Give wherever you are of whatever you have. A smile, a handshake, a dollar bill, a book. Just keep giving, because giving is the experience of being in grace. It's really so simple. And we are fools because the world negotiates and then plans and then figures. And that's okay. We're not here to change it or judge it. We're here to see it, to see that those were little mistakes, that they were just set up options in a world, in a pretend make-believe world to play a game. And now we don't have to be bound by the game, but we don't bust up somebody's game. We're just not bound by it anymore. And when we only live by giving, there isn't anything but peace and joy, and that is God's peace. There you go. Okay. The other thing but this is important, because this is what the experience. Here's Teddy. Say morning, Teddy.
Hey, Teddy.
What's the access
What's the
code?
access code? I don't know.
I don't either.
But so the important part of this experience, you stay here, sit down. Okay. Yeah.
I'll get a chair.
Okay. So the important part is, no matter what, if we run into a block, a bump, something on the road, if we see we're trying to get, so what? Don't get mad at ourselves. It's like, oh my gosh, just take a V8. I should have had a V8. Got to go back to giving. So you just step away from it. But those moments of running into the obstacle, it's literally what the goal of the Course in Miracles is, to remove the obstacles to love's presence. Love's presence brings its own direction. Yes, brings its own direction, brings its own peace. It makes us fools for love.
It can't be love that's missing, it's just the awareness.
This is our first duet.
I know, this is wonderful to see you two sitting together.
I have no idea.
This is a miracle.
I cry every time it happens.
It's beautiful. Talk about two great streams coming together.
This is the awareness of love's presence.
So,
Amen.
amen.
Go ahead, keep going.
Holiest place on earth is guess where?
Well, if the spot, as we were talking about last night, the spot may start, but it keeps on going out. So it's the holiest place on earth is earth right now. So just got to hang around and open your mind a little bit. That's what we're trying to teach, whatever.
We're trying to teach whatever, exactly. The great whatever.
How people learn to hear the Holy Spirit or listen, whatever voice they're guided to. And I wanted to have about, 10 or 12 different people do it, because somewhere along the line, most people think that they have thoughts about why they can or can't. And when they begin to hear like people talk about the way it happens for them, there'll be a loosening in their own mind, and the possibility that somebody's way will be familiar enough to them where they won't be scared to try it, and they'll begin to hear for themselves, which is the most important thing for me. Is like once you hear for yourself, you got your teachers set up, and then you just be about your business, your father's business, which always works.
I like that. That's
So
right.
we'll see. So, right. So I was, so you were one of the people I was going to ask, and a few other people, because, it helps when you listen. That's all I could say.
Yeah. That's right. It's once again, it's all about just feeling the heat of that fire. It's not the words.
No.
Like St. Francis saying, our only job is to teach peace wherever we go, and only when necessary to use words.
That's right. And generally speaking, it is, this is what Vicky was saying, it's the demonstration that causes the interest. And once somebody has the interest and they ask the question, then they're willing to hear. And what they're really hearing, because the words really don't mean a thing, is the experience of the vibratory frequency of energy. And the alignment with that is what really opens people up, because they're feeling more and more at home and more as part of the unity of the totality of it all, which is what's important ultimately. Because we're all some sort of vibration in the totality of it all. And some of us have when someone seems to be nearer to you in that vibration, it's a little easier for them to sort of pick up the way than somebody who's like so far away in vibration that they're not feeling it. So we'll see how it all goes.
I just had something else come to my mind, something we've actually, oddly enough, talked about a lot lately, and that's Michael Jordan. So when I saw the Last Dance documentary, I've always loved Michael Jordan. I've always been a Bulls fan. But the drive, the single focus from the ego's perspective that Jordan had to be the greatest of all time, to be a champion, to pull his whole team with him. It worked, right? At least on that level. And yet, when you watch that documentary, you get the feeling like he's not happy. You get the feeling like Michael is not happy. He's not a happy person, because that drive doesn't leave. Now he's got to win in checkers. Now he's got to win all the time in this and that. It becomes an addiction.
That's right.
As opposed to releasing the need for it to show up in form, knowing that it's going to take whatever appropriate form it needs, but the single desire, well, as it would say in A Course in Miracles, the single desire of the Son for the Father.
Exactly. I was just going to say
desire for God, right. For love.
Right. And the truth is, people here in the world, people still have the idea that in order for God to love you, or for you to get some sort of return from him, you have to be good, or you have to do certain things rather than just be who you are. And it's not his focus and his drive that's wrong. It's just what he's using it to accomplish. And so accomplishing anything in the world is going to leave out something that you didn't accomplish. Whereas when you do sort of begin to hear what's beyond this world of space and time, it's all encompassing, and it includes everything and everyone. And it's an entirely different experience, but it's the exact same drive. which
Exactly.
is incredible. It's just a matter of the focus.
That's beautiful. Thank you,
And
Teddy.
people have to believe that they can actually, God's willing to talk to them and they want to talk to God. It's not a farce. It's not like some highfalutin idea. Like you said, the single desire of the Son for the Father brings it together in your mind. And since we're already one and joined, we're just removing the blocks to the obstacles. We're just, God is what awareness is. So we become what we always have been. It's really beautiful. And there's nothing like it in the world. I don't know what to say,
Vicki, any last words you'd like to add?
No, just keep listening and trusting. I think the self-doubt that we can have is the biggest obstacle. Just trust your heart. Trust that it's light and lyrical. Trust it in little things, and then it opens up to greater things. And if a greater goal will come about, it won't come about because you try to get there. It'll come from just listening and following the light. Just follow the yellow brick road. That's my message.
I like that. You've never said that before. That's beautiful. That's today's message, everyone. Follow the
Oh my God.
He's heard it too many times.
Let's see if there's anybody else here in the Zoom room that would like to say anything. George, go right ahead.
Okay. It comes to me as listening to this, there's two statements from this week that we get to end this week with, and that is, I am here, and I am that I am. And I'm not clear how, somehow it fits really well together for me, and I was trying to expand on it. And all that came up was, I just want to share with everybody out there in Zoom land that we can say this truth right now. I am here. You are here. Every one of you is right here connected to us. And I am that I am. I am you that I am. And I am everyone else and everyone else. I would like us all to take in the oneness that signifies and the connection that we all have. I am here and I am that I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Oh, Teddy, if you're talking, you're muted.
Okay. So my name is Ted, and
Another Ted.
a couple.
Oh, there's Teddy. I see you now. Okay. You and Lauren. Go right ahead, brother.
So this past week, in A Course in Miracles, there were 2 lessons, review lessons. And I've read these before, and I'm sure like everybody else, every time you read them, every time I read them, it's like, have I read this before? And oh yeah, there's something else in this. But there were 2 lessons this week. One is, it can be but myself I crucify. And the next one, it can be but my gratitude I earn. So I saw these as 2 sides of the same coin. It can be but myself I crucify, meaning it can be but myself. Only I can hurt myself. Nobody else can hurt me. Only I can hurt myself. And it can be but my gratitude I earn. Only I can please myself. It's not for me to look for pleasing others and getting gratitude from others to know I'm worthy or that I'm holy or whatever. It's all up to me. And that was very empowering. Second thing is, Jimmy, since you brought up Michael Jordan today, and I brought him up last week.
Right.
When I brought him up in terms of the notion of identification. So in that moment, I needed to identify. I was doing my doctoral defense, oral defense, and I needed an identity which would give me complete confidence as opposed to the anxious Ted I was, right? And it worked. And subsequent to that, actually, I was reminded of it today because something Vicki said. But again, it gets back to not needing words, that the words only point the direction. I remember growing up, I grew up in New York City. I was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. I'd play a lot of stickball. And when I was at bat, you know, I was Jackie Robinson. I was Jackie Robinson. Or I was Bill Hodges or Duke Snider. And it's just, you know, that identification. So if I can remember today at age 73 to go through my day as I am God. I am God's holy son. With that identification, I'm in another zone. And I don't need words. You know, it just, and so I just wanted to share that because Ted Poppy talked about I forget the word you just used, but you know, about the experience of it. And Jimmy, you said the same thing. It's all in the experience. And oh, Ted talked about listening to other people and finding out how they get there. So this is how I get there. I get there by changing my identity from Ted Englander with a body to Duke Snider at bat, bases loaded, 2 outs. Man, that's who I am. Anyway, that's my share.
Thanks, Ted. That's great. Always love when you share. Anybody else in the Zoom room before we turn the camera around? Okay. Yes, amigo. Good to see you, brother.
Amigo. Yay.
Where's he at?
What?
Amigo.
Amigo's frozen. Okay. Amigo, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
I know nothing. I see nothing. I am. I am.
You am, all right.
That's right. You're quoting my guru, Sergeant Schultz.
Love
I
you
know
guys.
nothing.
Love you.
We miss you, brother. Come on back.
Come home.
Your
I'll
room's
be there,
still.
sir.
Come and claim it.
I'll be your neighbor. I might be your neighbor.
What do you say?
He'll be here
I'll
September
be
2nd.
your
Oh,
neighbor.
good. You're gonna be soon.
Yes, September 2nd.
Oh, good.
Else would be your neighbor.
Yeah, you're gonna be. Amigo's room is actually on the other side of the wall from the anchor hold, so we're gonna be knocking in a special code. All right, let's turn it around here. And anybody here at Namaste want to share anything? Take this. Who wants to share something?
I'll share something.
Okay.
Say
Going over to Rod.
hi to Amigo. Hey, amigo, buddy. Can't wait for you to get back.
Yes, come on.
But with today's lesson, I'm thinking when I'm by Vicky, I don't need any words because she is that energy that just so easily interchanges with you. And that's what I like about Amigo too. We don't have to talk, do we? We just say, duh, and that's plenty. Okay, that's all I wanted to share, just to see his face.
So your message is basically duh.
Duh. And you don't need words. You don't need words.
Anybody else? How about you, Dawn? You want to share anything?
Oh, I do. We miss you, amigo. So glad you're coming home. And I love it that only when necessary to use words. And one time when you were asked to share, you said blah, 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 blah. And it was so deep and it was so profound and so meaningful. And I'm glad that you and Jimmy are going to be neighbors. You will take very good care of him. So thank you. Come home, my brother.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for the week. Let me get down here. Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Let me hook my microphone back up because we still have one more thing to do. And that is to proclaim the truth that is always true, that cannot stop being true, no matter how hard we try. And we have tried very hard indeed. One moment. You know, we used to share this prayer a lot when we were in Wisconsin, and it just always struck me. It's just the perfect prayer, a proclamation, but coming from a humble heart. It's just claiming that any idea other than the idea of God is untrue, but the idea of God is true now and forever. That I am the holy, perfect child of God. I'm complete, I'm healed, I'm whole. I'm shining right now in the reflection of God's love. No matter what I think, no matter what I say, no matter what I think I've done, this is the truth. So I practiced it once or twice before, so I would remember this time. So if you want to sing along, please feel free. I am the holy, perfect child of God, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of God's love, complete and healed and whole. In me is creation sanctified and guaranteed eternal life. In me is love perfected and fear impossible. For I am the holy, perfect child of God, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of God's love, complete and healed and whole. I am the holy home of love itself, the heaven where love resides. I am God's holy sinlessness itself, for in my purity abides God's own. One more time. For I am the holy, perfect child of God, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of God's love, complete and healed and whole, complete and healed and whole, complete and healed and whole, and whole. And so it is. What a beautiful session. Thanks to all of you. I'm so in love and so in light. So namaste.
Namaste.
Beautiful weekend. Hope to see you all on Sunday. We love you.
We love you, Jimmy.